Winter storms may be brewing, roads could get icy again, and gas prices have been ticking upward since last month. But that won't stop Americans from traveling during the holiday season this year, according to AAA. The Automobile Club's annual forecast predicts that 94.5 million Americans will travel 50 miles or more between Saturday, December 21st, and Wednesday, June 1st, an increase of 0.6% over this last year. The increase comes, says the group, despite weak economic growth, minimal employment gains and continuing declines in consumer confidence. Nevertheless, the upward trend marks the fifth consecutive year of increases and the highest travel volume recorded for the season. However, the impact of the increase will likely also be mitigated this year, as the group's definition of the holiday season spans 12 days, one more than the 11 it totaled last year. Of all the travel holidays, the year-end holiday season remains the least volatile, as Americans will not let economic conditions dictate their travel plans to celebrate the holidays, said AAA COO Marshall L. Downey in a statement. 91% of them will travel by car, says the group, up 0.9% from last year. They'll also travel farther, 805 miles round trip versus 760 miles last year, with those in the Rocky Mountain states expected to travel the most, 970 miles on average, and those in Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee expected to travel the least, 646 miles. We are driving up to Massachusetts to see family, staying over in Connecticut one night and continuing the rest of the way on Christmas Eve, said Taylor Schachter of Alexandria, who is opting to drive with her husband and two small children rather than fly. A 10-hour drive with a 12-month-old is not actually exactly my idea of a good time, she said, but any other means of travel is just too expensive. According to AAA, other travelers appear to concur as the number of flyers is expected to drop to 5.5 million people, a 1.4% drop from last year, with many travelers buying tickets far in advance. The airlines have been able to raise fares to the point that many destinations are significantly pricier than they were a year ago. Among those experiencing the greatest spike in average fares over Christmas, according to Kayak.com, Milwaukee up 16%, Fort Lauderdale 12%, Orlando 12%, St. Louis 12%, and New York 11%. By comparison, those showing the greatest drop in average Christmas airfares included Minneapolis, San Francisco, Cleveland, and Seattle, all of which slipped a mere 2%. Little wonder, then, that AAA expects more people to hit the roads this holiday season. One reason, perhaps, the group is warning travelers to go easy on the liquid-based holiday spirits if they are going to get behind the wheel. According to the group's Foundation for Traffic Safety, 1 in 5 of all licensed drivers reported having driven when they thought their alcohol level might have been close to, or possibly over, the legal limit in the last year. Worse yet, says the group, alcohol-related crashes represent 1 in 3 motor vehicle deaths, giving the otherwise joyous nature of the season that should be a particularly sobering statistic this time of year. And this is the next news. Minneapolis, the cost of flying is headed higher now that Congress has agreed on a budget deal. The proposed deal, expected to pass in the next several days, would more than double the $5 security fee on most round-trip tickets to $11.2 per ticket. The higher fee begins on July 1st. The old fee was $2.5 each way for a nonstop flight, capped at $5 each way if a traveler has a connection. The new fee would be $5.6 each way, whether or not there's a connection. The CEO of Delta Air Lines said travelers will be the ones who pay it. Airfares are going up for customers, so that tax increase will not be absorbed by Delta. Richard Anderson said at a Delta Air Lines Inc. presentation for investors in New York on Wednesday. Airlines have long complained that sales taxes, security fees, and airport taxes drive up the cost of their tickets unfairly. The industry's trade group, Airlines for America, says that on a trip with one stop, taxes can boost the price of what would have been a $238 ticket to 300 US dollars. In that example, the taxes work out to 26% of the original fare. Taxes would be lower on non-stop trips, which make up about two-thirds of US airline flying. The fee is meant to offset some of the cost of the Transportation Security Administration. A report last year by the Government Accountability Office found that the fees currently cover about 29% of the cost of airline security. The higher fee is meant to get travelers to pay for more of those costs. Although some of the new money is slated to be spent on non-security items, travelers will pay more to fly, even though they are not getting anything new for their money, said Carles Leucha, who runs the Customer Travel Alliance, which tracks travel issues in Washington. The customers just haven't the benefit of the fees seen the benefit of the fees they're paying, he said. The bipartisan budget deal that includes the higher security fee is expected to be passed by both houses of Congress in the next several days. President Barack Obama has endorsed it. Even without the deal, it appears that fares are headed higher. On Tuesday, Delta raised fares by $4 to $10 on a round-trip domestic ticket. As of Wednesday afternoon, American and United had matched the increase, although Southwest hadn't, said Rick Shawnee of FareCompare.com. 10 other attempted fare increases this year have failed, due in large part to the price sensitivity of travelers in the current economy. He wrote in an email, "This new fee, while being absorbed directly by passengers, is going to cause carriers heartburn in ticket sales." 2013, the Associated Press, all rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten, or redistributed. And this is the next news. When it comes to dreaming about retirement, travel is often at the top of the agenda. And by this, people don't just mean a trip or two over what could be a span of 30 or more years. The ultimate fantasy is an itinerary, like Campbell Hawkes, which includes going to Africa on safari 7 times. In the next year, the retired 73-year-old banker, who is based in New York, has trips planned to Tunisia, Morocco, and Southern India. Or perhaps the dream is to follow the path of Jonathan a 74-year-old retired sound producer for soap operas who has been to 103 countries. He received most of the stamps in his passport after retiring to marry a few years ago. Rick has a wish list of trips that includes communing with king penguins on the way to Antarctica and seeing waterfalls in Venezuela and the south of France. For the 5 or so more years he thinks he will be healthy enough for adventure travel. How do you afford such a life? The trouble is that most people can't. Not without significant resources, good health and laser-like focus. Some 40% of retirees and near-retirees aspire to extensive travel, according to a recent survey of 1,000 Americans by HSBC Bank for its Future of Retirement series. At the same time, 30% of those polled said they were not achieving their goals. Unrealistic expectations and competing responsibilities tend to screw up the math. Both Huke and Rick said they are very budget conscious travelers who are frugal when they aren't traveling. But I'm always thinking about traveling or planning a trip, says Rick, who is booked on an 80-day Trans-Siberian Railway adventure that will cost about $17,000 US. What holds Rick back from even more travel is that he wants to spend time with his family and also have money to leave to his nice nieces and nephews to charity. I could just use up all my money, but I don't want to do that, he says. The typical retiree in financial advisor Larry Luxemburg's New York practice budgets around $70,000 a year for total expenses. What isn't covered by Social Security has to come from investment income, which works out to needing more than $1 million in assets. Luxembourg sees people realistically put aside about $5,000 for travel, which can cover one big international trip a year for a couple. They'll go to one country and do something for a week or 10 days, and it's not a particularly tight budget, Luxembourg says. For those who want to spend $10,000 or $20,000 a year, Mission Wealth co-founder Brad Stark based in Santa Barbara, California, suggests looking at travel as its own pool of money, on top of what you have saved for fixed retirement expenses. You might set aside 200,000 US dollars to use for the next 10 years and just spend it until it's gone, Stark says. Financial advisors said almost most people want to do their heaviest travel before they hit their mid-70s, so it's not a budget item that has to last forever. But Gray Mortug, president of Elder Trek, which organized international travel for seniors, says he has plenty of customers who are in their 80s. If our travelers were capped at 72, I'd be missing a good percentage of our current travelers, Mortag says. Spenders versus savers. Financial advisor Rebecca Hall uses this equation for figuring out travel budgets. For every 50,000 US dollars you want to spend, you have to have 1 million US dollars saved. Hall had one client recently who wanted to see if she could retire early at 60. The answer was yes. If she only wanted to provide for her basic lifestyle, if she wanted to travel, she was going to have work part-time. The question comes down to how much you value travel in relation to your house, car, and other responsibilities at home, and how long your health will hold out in order to enjoy it. Financial advisor Stark says people who have saved their whole lives in order to retire generally have a hard time sparkling once they stop working. The people Stark has to caution to slow down either inherited money or come to it late in life. You have to come back to them and say, even though you inherited millions, it doesn't go as far as it used to, he says. There are also creative ways to pay for retirement travel, such as one of Larry Luxemburg's clients who joined the Peace Corps after he retired and spent a couple of years in Morocco. People volunteer like that until their 80s, he says. Mercy and Henry Auber, a couple in their 50s from northern New Jersey, have been talking about a sort of informal informal retirement co-op with their friends. As each decides where they want to base retirement second homes, they are trying to work out a way to make use of each other's property. We are thinking of Arizona, so we say to our friends, are you thinking of Colorado? Can we use your Breckenridge place for these weeks, and you can use ours when we aren't there," says Mercy Arbor, 52, who is a psychologist. Arbor hopes this will allow the group to afford other, bigger trips, while minimizing the cost of a few beach and ski jaunt by using their friends' houses. "We are not wealthy people, we are comfortable, and we are smart with it," Arbor says. And this is the last news. The massive storm has everything: heavy snow, possible tornadoes, flash flood watches, and ice storm warnings, NBC's John Young reports. Bands of dangerous ice in the Northeast and the Midwest. The risk of a rare December tornado across parts of the South. And for the East Coast, temperatures that are more melancholic than White Christmas. It's a strange forecast for the last travel weekend before the holiday, and for people caught in the worst of it, a lot of misery, said Michael Palmer, a lead meteorologist at the Weather Channel. Chicago and Detroit were already reporting ice conditions. Light snow across the central Great Plains and the western Great Lakes was expected to intensify over the weekend. Cotting Kansas City, Mo, and Milwaukee with up to 10 inches. New England braced for ice Saturday and Sunday, which could lead to power lines and trees and knock out electricity. The Penobscot County, Manning Emergency Management Agency was in conference calls with the National Weather Service to see how serious the storm could be. Ice is ice. Michelle Tangay, the agency's director, told NBC station WCSH of Portland, "Wet on power lines can still cause power outages, so even with the half of an inch to an inch of ice in the forecast, you could still look at potential power failures." And in the South, the tornado threat Saturday coincides with the first day of winter. The danger zone includes eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, Arkansas, and western Mississippi. The tornadoes could be as powerful as a 4 on what's known as the Enhanced Fujita scale, meaning they could pack winds stronger than 166 mph, Palmer said.